What is up, survivors? For today's mod review, we're going to be talking about the RR-StarAnimals mod. This mod adds a collection of a couple different animals that are pretty noticeable from Atlas into the Ark universe, skins them a little differently, adds some abilities, and there you have it. So you can actually, there's a few, we'll leave a link to the workshop description in the video for this mod specifically. You can actually add these animals individually, the ones we're going to talk about here. RR actually does a lot of other animal mods as well, but those are out in separate collections, kind of under different categories. So we're going over just what's in the star animals category, not the exotic or the farm or anything like that, just the star animals. And like I said, if you like just one of these creatures, you can actually find the mod independently and just add that specific mod in. So we're going to talk about it here. So we got these guys out here, and then we got some guys in the water too. So let's get started with the water guys real quick, and then we'll come back on land and do this. The water creatures are the star Hammerhead Sharks. As you can see, a little bit, about the same size as Megalodon, but obviously Hammerhead Sharks. There's a bunch of different variants to these guys, and it really just changes their color pattern for the most part. There's like star and then glow and crazy and space. They all like cosmetically make them look a little bit different, with the exception of that you will find X variants of all these animals to include the sharks, and the X variants basically have better stats. So for starters, the Hammerhead Shark essentially works as a Megalodon, but it has 3 times better stats. So these are 225s, we spawn them in at 150, and as you can see, the health, I mean, these guys are pretty obnoxious. These guys are, yeah, 3 times the base stats of normal Megalodon. So these are pretty cool. These are all knockout tames like usual. Superior kibble is the kibble of choice, or you just feed them meat. That's pretty much how it works. They don't need a saddle to ride, but you can craft this Megalodon saddle, well, it's not a Megalodon saddle, but it's the Hammerhead Shark saddle, which is right, where's that at? Find it. Hammerhead Shark saddle. All right, there we go. So you need smithing paste, fiber, and hide to make it. You can just make the saddle. You put the saddle on, I guess, if you're looking for better armor, but it's not necessarily required. Like I said, you can ride these guys without it. They're definitely fast, and yeah, 3 by stats on a Megalodon, but outside of that, it kind of handles like a Megalodon. I think it turns a little bit better than a Megalodon, but for the most part, that is what they are. There are alpha versions of these guys. If you have this mod running, you'll see alpha versions. You cannot tame the alphas. They work just like normal alphas do. They have better stats, and you'll get a lot of XP for killing them, but they're not going to be tameable. The X variants for these guys have a 4 by better stat line than the 3 by. And it's only in the health from my understanding. I think they just end up with having a lot more health for the X variants. But there's a few, like I said, there's a few different variants of these guys, and you'll see them spawning in the oceans for the most part, and that's pretty much it with them. From my understanding, you still breed these animals like normal too. So if you want to breed them, you can still breed them like you normally would, male and female, same deal as you would with a normal Megalodon. What you'll find is most of these animals are modeled after an actual Ark animal already, so they act for the most part exactly like that, but they look a little bit different with some different stat lines. That's pretty much it. So let's get back on land and we'll talk about the other guys. So first off, we'll start with Star Shieldhorn. Kind of the same thing. This guy's modeled after a trike. He's going to have basically triple stats of a normal trike is what we're looking at. Same deal, it has a bunch of different variants that change in color texture and color schemes, but there is an X variant that has even like a 4 by instead of a 3 by. You will need a saddle for these guys. This one is a little bit odd because it doesn't, like, all these other creatures have their own saddle, except these two actually. This one will actually take the normal trike saddle. You just make the normal trike saddle, slap it on them, and you're good to go. So the Shieldhorn operates exactly like the Triceratops. It sounds like, works the same way. It'll harvest berries. It has a damage reduction at the front of his head. It'll grab thatch and wood from trees, and it still has the charge ability too that we can power up and let loose. And you'll start with the charge ability as well. So basically all of the abilities that you would see out of a normal trike, just with better stat line, is essentially what you're looking at, plus a cool little, just a different look really, which is kind of nice. Yep, no weight reduction that I could see, nothing special like that or anything. They all look like they pretty much weigh the same. It's nothing too crazy. But essentially a trike, that's what we're looking at, is a trike reskinned, looks a little bit different, and with a better stat line. That's what the Shieldhorn is. Moving over to the Leatherwing. So the Leatherwing is essentially a Pteranodon, but these guys work a little bit different. First and foremost, you can level up their movement speed automatically, so you don't have to have anything else to, or enable flyer movement speed turn on or whatever. They'll just be able to update their movement speed. They will take a Pteranodon saddle to ride. And as you can see, they look very much like a Pteranodon, just kind of a different headdress thing going on. Again, there's a bunch of different color patterns to these guys. There's no X variant, it doesn't look like. It's just a couple of different, I think it's Star, Color, Glow, and Fire Star leather wings. And this is the Fire Star. As you can see, the color pattern's just a little bit different. So they don't have a like straight up stat increase, but what I can notice is that they have like the increased, the ability to level up their movement speed. They can actually walk backwards standardly, which is kind of funny. They look like they're moonwalking though, which I thought was kind of funny. Other than that, it's pretty much a Pteranodon. They seem to be better on stamina as well. So they seem to be a lot better on stamina. They have a bit more health and weight as well, it looks like, but I wouldn't say it's like 3 by stat lines or anything like that. And it seems like it's just those fields that got increased. So a little bit beefier Pteranodon, a little bit easier, a little bit more worth it Pteranodon to keep around, which I kind of like. A lot of times we get those Pteranodons and we don't pay them any attention after a while because we get better flyers. But as you can see, like the little headdress kind of glows. I mean, the skins look cool. They look good like this. I like the Pteranodons with like the feathery heads on them. And that shield horn does look pretty awesome. Moving over to the Star Ostrich. This is obviously the Ostrich. It will take its own saddle. It's an Ostrich saddle. These guys work like a Gallimimus, essentially. So you get a lot of movement speed off of them. They move incredibly fast. They do have a jump option and a bite option, but what I have noticed, I don't know if it was intended, but these things gather the crap out of berries. I don't remember Gallimimus grabbing berries like this. Like, these guys grab some berries and wood and thatch, and like I said, they move incredibly fast. Like, all these berries just got harvested. So these guys are incredible for harvesting berries for you, and the ability to jump and move really fast, definitely worth it. And like I said, they definitely work off of like a Gallimimus sort of setup, but yeah, they're pretty cool. These guys are knockout tame as well. Simple kibble to tame them, or crops, vegetables, stuff like that. Also, the leather wing is knockout too, with extraordinary kibble or any sort of meat that you want to put on there. Is essentially how those guys work. Last but not least is the Star Razortooth. This guy looks pretty awesome. The Star Razortooth is essentially a U-type Ramus. So you get its own saddle, so you have the RR-Razortooth saddle. There is an X version that's stronger than the normal one. No significant stat boost with this guy as opposed to like regular UDs, but it does have all the UD benefits. I think the stats are a little bit higher, but you get all the UD benefits. Like, you get both roar abilities, you get the bite, you get the courage roar, and then you get the debuff roar. You can even set it to like auto courage or on turret mode like you would with a normal UD. So it's definitely modeled after the UD in and of itself. Pretty much the same sort of behavior that you would expect out of a UD, same size. And yeah, these guys you knock out, they'll need extraordinary kibble to tame them, or obviously meat sources. But yeah, honestly, I like this better than the normal UD, if I'm being fair. So yeah, obviously these animals work after or modeled after an animal that's already currently there. They maybe took something from Atlas or reskinned something that was here, and this is what we're looking at. I would say this is probably a good one just to mix things up a little bit at the very least, you know? Now, obviously, the stat increases on the Hammerhead Shark and on the Shield Horn is really good, and then the increased stamina and weight, a little bit of health on the Leather Wing is amazing. These guys definitely have their own little abilities that make them a little bit better than the counterpart that they may have been modeled off of. But all in all, I mean, I would definitely recommend this one, if anything, just for the variety to change up. You know, you have these on the server, and you might see Razortooth, you might see UDs, you might see Treks, you might see Shield Horns. Kind of like the idea of being able to mix stuff up like that. It kind of helps out a little bit. I really like the Ostrich, actually. That's probably one of my favorite ones. Like, the speed and the ability to harvest berries that quickly is pretty cool. The Hammerhead Shark changes, I like that change a little bit too. I think a lot of times we get sick of seeing the same Megalodons in the oceans all the time, so just changing aesthetically, just changing that up a little bit would be really cool to see. Anytime we can add a variety into the dino count that we have on the map, I think is usually a pretty good idea, and these animals work really well. The saddles work really well. The animations work great. They fit into the Ark universe really well, and they're not over the top animals. I don't think any of them are like what I would consider like a broken or whatever, OP or whatever. These guys they work pretty well. I haven't seen any sort of glitches with the animations or with harvesting or how they act. They pretty much act like their counterparts. But that is it, guys. That is the RR-StarAnimals mod. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit that like button, hit that sub button. We'll have a link in the description that'll send you to the workshop page so you guys can check that out as well. As always, I will see you on the next one.